Hello and thank you for joining XROM Podcast. I am your host, Eddie Avil. XROM is a platform company with various business legs, all designed to build a sustainable AR/VR industry and promote and facilitate a collaborative environment between all the stakeholders, the technologists, enterprise, marketing, investors, and the consumer community. We need you and your help to grow the ecosystem. So kindly subscribe, share, and suggest ideas to drive the AR/VR ecosystem forward. It was lovely speaking to Dr. Shakti Banerjee, Head of Department at Immersive Media Design, MIT Institute of Design, Pune. He is the former senior faculty in National Institute of Design, a passionate Immersivetech advocate who believes AR/VR is the future. I wish you enjoy this conversation. Thank you for joining XRM Podcast. Shakti, really appreciate this. Thank you for taking time being part of XRM Podcast. So tell me, for the people, please give me a brief introduction on what you've been doing and your immersive curriculum at MITID.
Thanks, Eddie. I think keeping me in the part of your podcast, this is really nice. I'll be talking about how we started this course. In fact, we have this plan as a discipline, and this is the first time in India actually as a immersive media design. So what had happened was I was with NID. I was teaching there. I was heading there digital game design, and in that time, what I realized, there are so many VR games and all they have come. And then I found out the application of VR and AR, it's humongous. And in that humongous, in fact, so many things, it has to be explored much more. And that is how, when I came to Pune, I decided to start something very relevant to the future.
Right.
And relevance to in fact, what is happening, if you see, the design is also changing. So design as it is changing and things are happening like, there are emerging technologies which is impacting the design. So in this kind of scenario, our design students should be ready to take the challenges, what is going to come.
Very true.
And secondly, what is happening that we are surrounded with data. We are surrounded with so much data that we have to manage the data first. And also how to represent the data in a ubiquitous format and in the pervasive way. That is where it is, I think, immersive media design works much better.
Right.
And another more thing I want to add on, because we are in the world of data, we are actually talking about technology, but technology itself can't do much.
Right.
But so, how to use the technology for the user, that is where the designer's roles come. And this immersive media designer, they are actually doing the conceptualization, they are doing the visualization, and as well as they are making the prototype. So they are learning the coding and they are implementing it.
Lovely. How cool is that? And actually India needs this, because like you rightfully said, technology is growing in exponentially.
Yes.
And all of these technologies are going to impact and disrupt mankind in all different verticals. And you rightfully said design is changing at this point in time, right?
Yes.
And you can take the help of technology,
right,
and create something which connects with people in an extremely awesome way.
Yes.
And that is what AR/VR MR is doing.
Exactly.
AR/VR is something which will help you, jump out from the 2D barrier or 2D limitation and get into the 3D world. You'll be experiencing things like how we experience the real world. So what was the inception of MITID Immersive School? How did you come up with the idea of
So as a MITID, it's actually primarily it's a design school. We have other discipline also.
Right.
And
I'm talking about the immersive.
Immersive thing, because as I said, when we realize that there are things which is happening is more interactive way. We are more talking about it is more disruptive. So how we can use those technology? Secondly, what is when you using those technology, you should have a design sense. You should have a visual design, background. So this course, what we have done is a very holistic way. So we are talking about, we have given the courses, like systems design. We're talking about a lot of things into narratives, because anything what we do, it's because we need a narration, story behind it.
Right.
When we are talking about, if you talk about VR, especially after 45 seconds, people don't know what to do, where to look. You can look here and you can look there and all, but the actually how we navigate with the user, that is very important.
Very true.
And that is why we are having the course which is very focused on narratives. We are focused on semiotics. We are talking about visual design. We are talking about other things like principles of design. We are talking about what is the philosophy behind immersion, and then we're talking about systems thinking. We are talking about the user research, because user research is very important for understanding the user. And once you understand the user, only then you can provide the solution better way.
Very true.
And then the other things like coding, then they are learning Unity. They are also, we are doing learning, teaching them Blender. We are talking about other softwares. We are talking about 3D modeling and all, how to integrate all that. So that way it has come out very nicely, and my students are doing really great right
Lovely,
now.
lovely. So, what's the student strength at this point in time? And I believe this is the first year, right?
This is now second year, so the first batch hasn't come out. When they have gone for internship, so they will soon come out. And thank God, I think it's the first time the course started, and we got 100% internship.
Right. Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah.
So tell me, I mean, for getting the first batch of student, how difficult was it to convince the parents? Because at this point in time, largely, if you see,
Right.
parents would want their kids to take up, traditional
Yes.
ways forward, whether it's the commerce, the science, and largely people do not get into the art side because they see that side as not economically more, conducive to
Right.
their this thing. They feel
So-
that whether it's the commerce side or the science side is what they kind of push their kids towards. How easy was it to get the first batch of students?
Okay. It was not easy at all. I'll tell you why. See, first of all, this is a master's course. Okay. Now, what happens is, obviously, in the first batch also, they were little skeptical what is going to happen, right? Secondly, the interesting part, what I have done, I have taken students from different discipline background. So we have a small batch. We haven't purposely don't wanted to take many people, but we have selected a small batch, and in that small batch, I had 3 engineering background. Then one is from architect background, one is from product design, another one was from fine arts. So what I wanted is, there should be amalgam of the different disciplines, and they will also have a peer learning. That is very much required for this kind of program, because it's a very hands-on. It's very much conceptualization, but as well as it's technical also. So our even fine arts guy, he's enjoying the coding, and then as well as when hardcore engineering guy who's done in computer science, he's enjoying drawing also. So that way it is working very well.
Yeah, lovely. I think, going forward into the future, skilling, to be open to new skills will be a criteria to stay relevant in this future. So one, I think, should be open for everything, especially coding. Coding, I think, is going to be the most important trait to have. If you want to move ahead. Now, tell me, does the principle of design change when it comes to AR, VR, MR?
Of course, it impacts very well, because what is happening in um, as a scenario, it is changing as like everything coming to AI, right? And AI is very much dominant in the all the sector. So what is happening is that you are somewhere, anyway, you will be practically using those. We will be using machine learning, we will be using AI, and that's why the design also has to orient with that. So I believe it's just a beginning right now, but in another due course, it will be there will be too much or there will be too integrated. Because right now it may not be very integrated, but we have integrated AI also in a not very big way, but it's a bit of relevance of AI in immersive media and how it should be used in particularly for the humanity purpose
Perfect.
that is required.
Very good. So yes, I mean, rightfully said. I mean, all of these technology, it's in a very nascent stage, and this is the time one should kind of explore and understand about these technology. I don't think anybody is an expert in this field because globally, people are just understanding these technologies, what these technologies can do, and
Yes.
and there's the constant experimentation and research which is going on. Research at the top level, and most of the people who are enthusiasts who are working on it are experimenting with it because
Yes,
I mean
yes.
the possibilities are endless. So we're just trying to kind of figure out. So it's nice that you're taking the step forward and you understand that AR, VR, MR is actually anyway going to converge with artificial intelligence. So you're having that introduced with AR, VR, MR in the beginning only. So I think that's great. Now supposing to my listeners over here. So for
Right.
maybe there could be students who might be listening to onto this podcast. Now, if you had to give a brief idea about the curriculum that you have built, how would you explain to the students?
So very simple, like what I'm saying, it's the amalgam. So you have to have first of all, you have to have a passion for learning. You have to have a passion for learning new things.
Right.
Because everything is new, every bit you're discovering yourself. And you have to have some digital knack for it. Okay, so there are students who is coming and inquiring me. They are from the fine arts background. Even I have another present student who is from animation background, purely animation background, but he is doing very well. And because of I think the student have that knack, that key, what can be thing done. Like we have done recently using the brush stroke, using processing, coding, and it came out very nice. So they are understanding the integration. So I would say the simple way that whosoever is interested in immersive media should have some knack of digital, some knack of learning, a knack of passion for learning, and secondly, this has to be design and conceptual strong, because that's what is the crux.
Right.
Technical part automatically comes. I'm sure once they understand the coding, it's a logical thinking and it can be done. So it's not a rocket science that one can't do.
So today at this point in time, if you see, a career choice is extremely confusing. You know, gone are the days where you could have done like a 10-year your graduation program or your school and your traditional education. And you come out and you'll get a good job. I mean, the chances are that you will not, because the job industry is changing.
Yes.
There are, I mean, there's no longer the traditional job requirement. Just recently, I read there was this news article out. Cognizant has laid off around 7,000 of its employees, and mostly high-level senior employees.
Okay.
And they're taking in young workforce,
I see.
people who are adept at coding, who cloud computing, data science, and things like that. Now, for a parent who's listening or a student who's listening, how would you tell them about your course and how will it benefit them?
Okay. So this course is interdisciplinary, and what is happening in the interdisciplinary, that now when you talk about the design as a course or design as a discipline, it is also blurring. The edges are blurring. We can't say ki okay, the someone is product designer, he can't do this, or somebody graphic designer or somebody UX designer, he can't do this. But what is happening in this immersive media design, since it's an amalgam, and this gives a very good stand for you in the industry, that they can actually even direct the whole thing like end to end, from the user end to what is the problem solving process, and how we can implement, and how we are amalgam the whole, the process to create something interaction, make it more effective and all. So that's why I'm saying it's a interdisciplinary, as a program, and it is has a more, I think students will get more advantage for that. In the future, definitely there are a lot of things they can do, because my students, they can work for even with the startup and doing something for the education purpose, or even for the IT sector they are doing the futuristic project, or even for the AI purpose also they can do, or something even for entertainment, because brand promotion, now a lot of brand promotion is using AR, VR, XR. So how this can be more effective? So there is multi way they can use for simulation, for car experience, or even for defense area. They can use this. So I think it's endless, and the choice is yours.
Right. Yeah. So yes, exactly. I mean, at this point of time, the traditional job sector requirement or job industry is falling down, and there are these new jobs requirement which is cropping up.
Yes.
People are looking for an AR VR developer.
Yes.
People are looking for people who are experts in cloud computing or data science and things like that, coding. So yes, I mean, there is a huge opportunity, and I believe as a student or a parent, you need to kind of look at all those, don't get blurred, because there's a lot of things which is happening in the world at this point in time. And sure, there'll be a lot of positives and negatives, you hear about everything, but I think you need to consciously make a difference and understand what is it that you want to do. And like Mr. Banerjee said, at this point in time, the lines are blurring. You need to, even if you choose, say, per se, you doing an AR VR course, for design, but you need to be adapt with all the other possibilities of you can't just be you should not restrict yourself just to be a designer. There is so many things which comes along with being a designer, right from your user interface to user experience. So it's the digital, everything is getting digitized. So there is so much opportunity. Yes, I mean, there is I see the future, a great future ahead, because I mean, but if you make the choice right now, the choice what do you make today, if you choose the right thing, will decide your career or whatever trajectory ahead. So now tell me, I mean, can you, of the number of students which was there for the first year, can you share some experiences that they have built which have made you very proud?
Okay, so recently they have gone to I said they have gone to industry, they have doing the internship. And in the first 2-3 weeks, they have done some smaller work and things like that. And I got a feedback which is very good, that my student, there was some, I just want to give you an example basically. What had happened was, I won't tell the name, but what has happened that there was a coding guy has done something developed, right? And the coding was perfect. He was very satisfied, and the team was able to do something, but it was not fulfilling their requirement. Now, when my student, when she was there, and she has suggested something, because she knows Unity also, and she able to visualize better. And when she has actually suggested something which they have implemented, then they realize, oh, we need a designer, because only coding was not giving the user experience. what was happening, there was some kind of icons, and that has to be opened up as a briefcase, and the briefcase was just, when they're opening, either it was hitting your face, or they don't know where to look. And when she has suggested something, it has really worked. So they were saying they were very happy. Okay, somebody is there who can think in both way, visualization as well as their, she knows unity, so she is able to perform there. Ki this way it can be done.
Right. Yeah. So in the creative field, in the design field, creative thinking is such an important thing. In the
Right.
design, when you bring in your creativity, your product can come alive. Right.
Yes.
I mean, there are possibilities of, like, for example, you said the user experience changes. If you put yourself in the shoes of a user,
Right.
and you create an experience which you would want to use, then I'm sure
Then-
you're building a product which is going to sell like hotcakes. So
Even another case also,
Yes.
when they are actually designed something for the whole exhibition, and when they have worked out as visualization, then the company said ki, no, next time they should do the whole this part, so they are very happy.
Lovely.
That way I am very happy that ki, my students are able to get along with all the team, and they're able to produce something which they are very appreciating it.
Right.
So that's great.
Right, lovely. So you in the course of conversation, you were saying AR is going to be the way ahead, which obviously feels like a no-brainer, because at this point in time with VR, the problem is you need to invest in a VR headset. It's clunky and things like that. But today we already have a AR device with us in our hand, or phones,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So can you share about some experiences that, I mean, your students have built with AR, or are you push driving augmented reality first? Or how is the approach that you're looking at, with your immersive curriculum?
See, first of all, I think we are not making it ki whether it should be AR or VR.
VR, yeah.
Right now,
It's just design.
exploring.
Yeah.
Exploring. Now, my students have explored VR. They have worked on HTC Vive. We have HTC Vive in our lab, and they have worked also on AR. There's one student that she had created a origami, learning origami, and via AR, in the AR tab or app, you can see the whole process of the origami, and it will be interacting with the student. If there somebody is making origami, it can interact.
Nice.
The folding of the paper and things like that. So both way it should work, right? Now, as a future definitely, a lot of people are saying ki AR is much more going to be longer laster. Even you must be knowing that ki Apple is also coming with AR headset, and that will be like 8K resolution, both the eyes and all. So I'm going to, it's going to wait for that, because there will be major shift going to happen. From mobile to, you will directly go to the AR headset.
Yes, the market looks super exciting with
Yes.
the AR VR industry, and rightfully you said AR. Apple is looking at launching their AR headset. I mean, in the near future, maybe it could be 23, 24, who knows? But yes, they're talking about an 8K AR headset, and that will, I think, change the dynamics of how we perceive reality. And I think everything is going to be annotated. You will enter possibly a mall, and you will have a glasses which will have the same form factor of something like you're wearing at this point in time, and maybe there'll be an AI assistant which will pop up, and he or she will know exactly
Yes.
what you want to buy. It'll direct you exactly to the shop that you want to go. It'll exactly point you to those things that you want to buy, which has got the best discounts, and it's the best for you, and things like that. So yes, I think people need to understand that that's the future. That's
Yeah.
the future which not just Apple, even Facebook,
No,
and all
everything.
the biggest people are creating.
Yeah.
Now, to create that future, obviously coding plays a huge role, right? But there has been a little apprehension, because people are overwhelmed when they hear this word of coding. But coding is actually not that complicated. It's actually quite simple. If you put your head around it, and you'll know that coding is like any other.
It's a logical
yeah,
thinking,
right? So
and
yeah, go ahead. How easy or difficult it's been to kind of convince your students to understand and make them realize that coding is a big part, a big aspect of understanding these technologies?
Yeah, so coding is required, no doubt, but it should not be like that. Because of coding, I won't, come to this field. That should not happen. Why I'm saying that? Because many people, they might have some ideas, and when you have ideas, idea is more important. The logical thinking is coding, where you can actually learn the coding, and coding can be learned. Ideas, if you have some ideas, if you can conceptualize, that is will be great. So one should not hesitate okay, I'm not good at mathematics, or I'm not very good at coding, or I'm very scared of, one should not be scared, first of all.
Right.
Secondly, what I have, my personal experience, what I have seen, I saw the guy who is from fine arts. In fact, the second batch also I have a fine arts guy, but he also, initially he was a little, slow, but he picked it up, and definitely it was marvelous, because whatever he's thinking is able to do the coding, and he's very happy that he's managed to do the interacting, managed to do the interaction. So I would say that even my viewers, that you should not feel hesitant about coding. We are teaching coding, and what you have to have, you have to have a knack. The first of all, you have to knack. You have to understand the how you can utilize it, coding, and obviously it can be done. I'm nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, completely. I guess the future is going towards a space where there'll be more and more job requirement for people who understand programming or coding, and coding will play, I think, like a major role in almost every disciplinary of work.
Right,
I mean, whatever you
right.
do, coding will definitely play a part.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning that earlier in a conversation that you had built an experience where you coded in a way where for something where you started painting and
Yeah.
So what are you building and how are you integrating AI or machine learning? Can you just
See, in fact, there was a course happened where we have actually explored processing as a coding, and in the processing we have tried a interactivity with using drawing, and it worked very well. And in fact, we were also exploring. So the thing is ki, as a discipline also, we are evolving, we are also exploring things, and one has to explore, then only will learn
completely,
right? So in terms of how we utilize those simple artworks can be more interactive and make it purposeful. We have created something using the processing tool and the sound, and somebody to guide blind people, and blind people has to go towards to for the water,
right? Avoiding obstacles.
So that coding also works, and sound,
right?
And then the sound gives the direction.
Right.
So that way we are trying something for autism for kids. We have tried something on using sensors also, like sensory. We have made it used Arduino, and we have used something like creating a music and art therapy. So each time when the kid is actually just with the gesture, and the sounds comes, and as well as sounds comes, as well as it can also give the very nice art forms. So that also popping, and those relates with the art therapy and the music therapy.
Right.
So we are trying to integrate. We are not just talking about just interaction for the sake of it, but we are trying to integrate with the utility and the function of it.
Lovely.
So that's where. One more point I want to add on. We have another course in the same discipline that we are talking about how this. It's a little bit philosophical, because that's also, I feel, that
should be part of the
part of this thing, because everything has a pros and cons.
Right.
So we are trying to understand how this technology will be used in the future, and what will be the, their pros and cons reflects in the socio and economic way.
Right.
So, in terms of socio-cultural background, there are some things which may not work in a long term. So, there is a kind of a research-oriented, there's one course is also there where in the same discipline that they will also try to understand how this technology will have an impact in the cultural or social background.
Lovely. I get that's important because
Yeah.
when you collect the data and you understand the impact of this technology.
Yeah.
I mean, one needs to understand because all of these technologies are so potential. It can transform mankind, and we
Yes.
at this point of time we just scraping the surface. We're just trying to understand what it can possibly do. We don't have the slightest idea of what AR, VR, or artificial intelligence or synthetic biology can do when it matures. At this point, when the
Yes.
technology is in such a
Yes.
nascent stage. So tell me, I mean, for me, I'm always learning, right? So as a teacher, do you have a relationship like that? Because I believe, I mean, life is a learning process.
Right.
So when you teach,
Uh-huh.
are you also learning from the students? Because I mean, we're all experimenting at this point in time, right? So how has
Yes.
the experience been?
Yeah, actually, I don't teach.
Yeah.
I also learn, and I also it's a more of learning. The thing is, ki as a I've been into teaching experience for quite some time now, but previously I was in the industry. So what has happened is whatever I grasp in the industry, I try to even try to propagate into such a way that they should understand better. So I try to bridge the gap from industry to the academics. And at the same time, what happens when you are working with the young minds, our designer students, they're the young minds and they come up with the different ideas. And that way we learn things. And I also realize that there are so many things we can do together. So right now I'm just exploring myself with the students rather than I'm teaching anybody.
So tell me, I mean, when these students graduate from, when they finish the course, are they guaranteed placement? Okay, first question. B, is there an opportunity out there? I mean, how do you see the future? And has there been people coming to you and saying, okay, I need these talent?
Okay. So what has happened is I'm also myself trying to build up a lot of industry people. I'm talking to them and make them aware what we are doing and things like that. And I got a very good response from the industry. What has happened is in the industry, a lot of people are working with AR, VR, but they are getting stuck after certain time, certain level, because again the narration, again the interactivity, again the question of how engaging experience. So I'm getting a very good response from them, and they need people like designers, and they need people like who can really visualize from end to end. Okay, now we have to also build up a ecosystem around it, because only if I'm telling that there are the students like this, but they also have to, as an industry, they also should give a chance to them okay, how they can be integrated with their team. So this ecosystem has to be built up, and we are building it. And I'm sure another 1 or 2 years it will find a lot of designers into this this domain, and they will do work fantastically. So right now, whatever I'm getting responses from the IT sector also, they want to explore into more into AR VR rather than UX oriented, because UX is also changing with this scenario. The sector where I'm talking about, a lot of people, they want to do the presentation in VR AR, even for branding, even for like B2B presentation happening for aviation, for transportation. So they are trying to do the, like, now if you want to buy a car, So they are not showing the car in the showroom.
Mhm.
But what they are doing is you have go there and you experience the whole car in VR, and then you can change your dashboard color. You can optimize the customize your every option, and then the next month they will deliver the car. So that way there are so many things happening, and my students are definitely will be very appropriate for this
The meeting
purpose.
demand of
Meeting demand. Yeah,
all
yeah,
these.
yeah.
Very true. I guess the the industry is going to get disrupted.
Mhm.
All the traditional workforce, I believe, will be on a downward slope. I mean, won't be much demand for them. There'll be people who will be seeking the workforce who understand AR, VR, MR, or AI, or all of these new jobs. Because if you see, largely at this point in time only,
Mhm.
most of the top companies around the world are already automating,
Yeah.
right? And then there are these companies like we spoke about Apple, we
Mhm.
spoke about Facebook, there's
Right.
Samsung,
Yeah.
Sony, Microsoft. Everybody's building the interface for the future.
Yes.
The next interface is going to be not a computer, not your phone, but your a wearable device.
Yes.
Now, maybe it could take 3 years, maybe it could take 5 years, maybe it could take maximum if things are slow, it could take 10 years. But it is eventual that we will jump out from this 2D medium and get into the 3D world
Yeah.
with a interface which is a glasses.
Right.
It could go down to a lens,
Or it can be wearable,
wearable, anything, right?
or it is can be more haptics also.
Exactly,
Because
and haptic feedback will
feedback is also
enable
required.
us to feel the virtual,
Yes.
like how we feel the physical world. We won't
Right.
be able to decipher what is virtual, what is real. That's the far out future.
Yes.
But I'm saying that when all of these big players like Facebook and Apple build the AR headset, there will be a sudden requirement for content, experiences to be built for the 3D medium,
Yes.
for the AR VR force.
Yes,
And
very
that's
much.
what you are doing is
Yeah.
you're building the workforce for the future.
Yeah.
Right? And that's such an awesome thing. And I think people need to understand that that's where the future is going. And at least start researching, or joining courses, or getting online and figuring out how you can embrace these technologies.
Yeah.
So this was your first year, and I'm sure you must have learned
Yes.
so much from the students. I mean, the first or the second year?
Second year.
Second year. This is the second
Yeah.
year. So even your curriculum, I guess, that because of all those, maybe through the 2 years, what you must have learned, okay, this has worked, this has not worked. And maybe you must have found, oh, those things is something that we can incorporate and we can
Yes.
make it better. So what is your future vision? What are you looking at the third year course to be? Are you restructuring the course or is it exactly the same which was earlier?
Whatever I perceived, I think this worked actually.
Right,
It
right.
really worked. Yeah, but there will be fine tuning. There will be a little bit of sometimes we get very over ambitious
Right.
because it's only 2 years course.
Right.
And in 2 years course, putting so many things, I was very over ambitious, and so I really want to tweak it somewhere or other. Something like you said, ki something you subtracting, something you adding, so that happens, and I think that's a good part it, because we are into evolving process, and definitely it will become more robust, and I think next year you will find more students also going to come. I'm definitely sure about it. Yeah, as a discipline, I think I see the future is very bright. I see that there will be a kind of a ecosystem going to happen with not only India there has to be global market also for this, and obviously we are the first one in India to do something like this. So definitely our student will get some kind of a pioneer benefit to that. And also I kept on telling them ki you should build the brand value, your own. That is required. So one has to pitch the idea, one has to be ready to explore, and they can give the ideas to the customer or the client or the studio. So that should be there.
Right, right.
And eventually it will happen.
Yeah, so true. So yes, personal branding is so very important. In your whatever you're doing has a narrative, a story, right? And the story has to be convincing. And if I'm telling you a story, like I am an evangelist, right? I've been push driving the AR/VR ecosystem here in India. So I have a narrative, and the narrative needs to touch with you, and that's what will make the narrative convincing. So yes, storytelling and personal branding is so very important in this future, and you need to be passionate about it.
Passion.
So the future, you have to be a curious person. You have to be passionate, and you have to be hardworking. And if you got all of those three ingredients together, I don't think anything can stop you, right? So what is your final parting views to our listeners, and what is your future vision for not just Mr. Banerjee but also the institute?
Yeah, I think as Eddie is doing so much right now, like he is trying to propagate the whole thing with not only the industry but also institute. That's a great thing. And in fact, I would also look that key more students, more professionals, they get interested in this, and more students should come to for this course. And definitely, I think we all together will make another kind of a total movement. Basically, as a movement where you are engaging with the interaction, you are engaging the disruptively, and they're making it nice kind of something. We see positive growth. See, people are talking about AI. AI might lose job and all. I think AI will also increase the job opportunity, and that will be also happening with designers, and that will also happening with as a whole ecosystem of design, technology, and the whole branding among with that.
Right. Yeah. So rightfully said. I think, I mentioned that AI will take jobs, but Mr. Banerjee rightfully said, yes, it will take a lot of jobs, but it will create this huge bunch of opportunities and new jobs where you have to understand and be prepared for the future. Data science, cloud computing, AR/VR development. There's this whole new bunch of jobs which are coming in, and which is so exciting. So I think you as an individual who wants to be relevant in the future needs to start working hard and building things or understanding what the future holds and creating something today, whether it's joining a course or understanding how you develop yourself and understand more about these new technologies, because technology is a tool which is augmenting us, and you have to see that how brilliant that tool is, and if you use that tool, and if you'll be able to create a way better life for yourselves. So thank you for being part of XRM podcast. Like always, I'm going to leave behind the details of Mr. Banerjee below, so that you can get in touch with him and interact. And if you want to be part of his university, his course, please get in touch. And like Mr. Banerjee said, it's about building an ecosystem. What we are doing is these small brick, we're just laying brick by brick by brick, and these small effort. And I think everybody needs to join in together. And when we come in together, we'll be creating this huge, brilliant architectural thing, which will make us proud. Somehow we don't have a single tech company, a global company, and it's about time that we lay the foundation. We create these future visionary problem solvers who
Yes.
can create these businesses which can come out of India and create a global impact. So on that note, thank
I
you.
think it's the word is collab.
Collab,
Yeah, where it's
collaboration.
it's a whole thing is
Right,
together,
right.
and obviously I'm thankful to Eddie.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you. So
I
thank you for
think-
being part. And yes, collaboration is the future. So until next time, see you guys. Bye bye.